the most feared risk of regional spillover from the Israel-Gaza conflict is seemingly becoming a reality. Earlier today, projectiles hit two Egyptian Red Sea towns, injuring several people. The explosions hit Taba on the border with Israel, and Nuweiba Egyptian security said it is still gathering more information. No one has claimed responsibility yet, but there are fears that it could be connected to fighting between Hamas militants and the Israeli military around Gaza. So for more on this, we're joined by SABC News correspondent in Lebanon, Alberti. Good afternoon. I dare say good afternoon, in fact, at this point. Perhaps given the regional spillover due to the conflict and what is transpiring, talk to the impact it's having at this point, at this hour as we speak.
You know, we are seeing the region absolutely shocked about what has been happening, and we're seeing the people angry about what is happening. You know, on Friday we are seeing again protests in Jordan, here in Lebanon as well, and these protests, at least here in Lebanon, are marked by this anti-Western sentiment. In Jordan they are much more focused on the Palestinian cause, but here these protests are mainly organized by Hezbollah, and so we see anger towards the Western community, towards the United States, the United Nations and Europe, who, you know, according to the people here, should be these beacons of democracy and human rights. And what people feel here from the region is that there is absolutely no protection for Palestinians. So we are seeing this anger not only in Palestine but also in these countries, like you mentioned, in Egypt, in Jordan, in Lebanon. We're seeing attacks on U.S. troops, U.S. bases in Iraq. We're seeing attacks in Syria. And so we are seeing this whole region completely devastated by what is happening in Gaza and in the West Bank, as well as we're seeing deaths and arrests there happening, although there is no presence of. So we're seeing the whole region really set on fire by what is happening. And so, of course, these are regrettable incidents like the one we are seeing in Egypt, but it is something that we should expect that it could continue to happen, as we are seeing groups like Hezbollah, like Iran, and this axis of resistance of which Palestine is also part of, basically threatening these pro-Israeli countries, let's say so Israel's main allies, such as the United States, threatening them that they could start expanding attacks to outside of Gaza and outside of Palestine.
Mia, thank you for that, because at this point, you know, we wondered if there's been any reaction from the Egyptian government at this point, from reports that you're, engaged with. I wonder also, on the back of Hamas officials saying that the release of hostages requires a ceasefire. I wonder if we're any closer to a truce, given the dynamics escalating. Can this conflict also spread beyond the Middle East? Really, what's at stake as we're speaking?
Look, we are looking into a crystal ball. We don't know yet if this will even expand inside of the Middle East yet. It is a question that has been on everyone's mind here in Lebanon, for example, with the presence of Hezbollah and the threat of Hezbollah telling Israel that if it continues its incursion in Gaza, then Hezbollah will open a war front from Lebanon here. So that would be the first step. Now, what we have heard from regional leaders does not give us that much hope that this could be contained. I mean, the narrative that we're still hearing from both sides, both from Israel and both from Iran, for example, it's a very aggressive narrative, not one calling for a ceasefire or trying to play things down. Actually, we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing, for example, Iran, as I mentioned, threatening to engage with Israel from Lebanon, from Yemen, from Syria. We're seeing rockets flying from Syria, drones flying from Yemen, and rockets flying, missiles flying from Lebanon as well. But we are also seeing Israel now threatening Iran, as it did in the beginning of this week, saying, okay, well, if we do receive these threats and these attacks from several fronts, proxies of Iran, then Israel will have no other choice but to attack Iran. So, of course, if something does escalate, then the rest of the Arab world will have to be involved. And of course, we know that the United States has moved some of its heavy artillery here to the Mediterranean coast, including some aircrafts fighter jets and some aircraft carriers. And so, of course, the United States has very clearly put themselves at the side of Israel, saying that they are, these unconditional supporters of Israel. And so we could see something escalating outside of the Arab region. And the fact is that we are seeing some European capitals, for example, on high alert for terrorism threats, and that is connected to this incident. So we could see something happening in the United States as well. And so it is a threat. Even if it does not escalate, we could see individual incidents that don't maybe necessarily represent what the Palestinians are feeling, but this is an event that is creating a lot of anger around the world.